Learn about the famous explorers who made perilous voyages from Europe to the New World and their roles in the discovery of America. We start our own voyage of discovery with Leif Erikson. His father, Eric the Red, was a great explorer and founded the first Norse colonies in Greenland, where Leif Erikson was raised. It is believed that Leif Erikson was the first European to visit the New World, 500 years before Christopher Columbus was born. Christopher Columbus discovered America whilst he was searching for a new trade route to China. The name of his ship was the Santa Maria. The names of the other two ships that also undertook the voyage were the Pinta and the Nina. He took possession of the new land for the Spanish monarchs, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, in 1492. John Cabot received the patronage of the English king, Henry VII, who granted him the right to seek islands and countries of the heathen towards the west, east, and north, sailing under the English flag. He sailed from Bristol, England, crossed the North Atlantic, and reached the coast of America north of Nova Scotia in 1497. Like Columbus, Cabot thought North America was China. Amerigo Vespucci made 6 voyages exploring the coast of South America for Portugal and Spain. On his second voyage, Vespucci wrote 2 letters to a friend in Europe. He described his travels and was the first to identify that the New World and the continents of North and South America were separate from Asia. The name America derives from the Latin version of his first name. In 1513, Vasco de Balboa crossed the Isthmus of Panama to the Pacific Ocean and became the first European to lead an expedition that reached the Pacific Ocean from the New World. He claimed the Pacific and all the land that touched it for Spain. This brave explorer met an untimely end when he was charged with treason and publicly beheaded. Juan Ponce de Leon gained valuable experience when he accompanied Christopher Columbus on his second voyage to the New World. Ponce de Leon went on to lead his own expedition in 1513, sailing around the southern end of Florida and back to the West Indies in 1513. He visited Florida again in 1521, where he was wounded by an Indian arrow and returned home to die. In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan led 5 Spanish ships and 251 men in what was to become the first voyage around the world. He sailed through a passage which would be called the Straits of Magellan and entered the Pacific Ocean. The historic voyage of this great explorer took nearly 3 years and cost 233 lives. Ferdinand Magellan was killed by natives on the island of Mactan in the Philippines. Only 18 men survived the voyage. Hernando Cortés began the first phase of the Spanish colonization of the Americas and conquered the Aztec Empire. The arrival of Cortés coincided with the predicted return of the Aztecs' god King Quetzalcoatl. The Aztecs and their king Montezuma II believed that Cortés could be their light-skinned, bearded god king and allowed the Spaniards into their capital city. 5 million Aztecs were conquered by less than 1,000 soldiers. Giovanni de Verrazzano was Italian-born and led the first French expedition to America in 1524. He explored the coast of North America between the Carolinas and Newfoundland, including New York Harbor and Narragansett Bay. He set anchor in the strait between Staten Island and Long Island, where he received a canoe party of Lenape native Indians. Giovanni de Verrazzano was captured by the Spanish in 1527 and executed for piracy. In 1534, the King of France commissioned Jacques Cartier to discover certain islands and lands where it is said there is a large amount of gold and other riches to be found. Jacques Cartier explored the coast from the Cape Fear River to Nova Scotia. He visited the Gulf of St. Lawrence and sailed up the St. Lawrence River to Montreal. He retired to France and published an account of his voyages of exploration in Canada. Hernando de Soto gained valuable experience as an explorer by joining a voyage to Peru led by Francisco Pizarro. The expedition reached Peru and captured the emperor of the Inca people. Thousands of Incas were killed, and the fantastic treasure of the Incas was stolen. In 1539, Hernando de Soto led his own expedition to explore the southeastern United States from Tampa Bay to South Carolina, and became the first European to cross the Mississippi River. Francisco Vázquez de Coronado had hoped to conquer the mythical 7 cities of gold. He visited New Mexico and other parts of what are now the southwestern United States between 1540 and 1542. He discovered the Great Plains of Kansas and went on to discover the Grand Canyon. His career ended in disgrace when he was found guilty of committing atrocities against the native Indians. Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo accompanied Hernando Cortez on his exploration of Mexico and the conquest of the Aztec Empire. In 1542, he sailed from the port of Navidad in Spain with 3 ships to lead the first European expedition to explore the upper California coast. He landed in what is now San Diego Bay and named it San Miguel. In 1562, Jean Ribault was chosen to lead an expedition to the New World to establish a haven for Protestant Huguenots. With a fleet of 150 colonists, he crossed the Atlantic Ocean and explored the Carolina coasts and Florida, including the mouth of the St. Johns River near modern-day Jacksonville, Florida. Jean Ribault established a French colony in Florida, but was killed with 350 colonists by the Spanish in what is referred to as the Florida Massacre. Following the Florida Massacre, the French concentrated on building new colonies in the northern lands of the New World. 1562 marked the time when the English started to explore the New World. John Hawkins carried cargoes of Negro slaves from Africa to the West Indies and sold them to the Spanish planters. He was the first to run the triangular trade route across the Atlantic Ocean, making a profit at every stop. His cousin, Francis Drake, was the next Englishman to make a voyage to the New World. In 1577, Francis Drake made his famous voyage round the world in his ship called the Pelican, which was later renamed the Golden Hind. Francis Drake repaired his ship off the coast of California and returned home by way of the Cape of Good Hope. His daring exploits at sea helped to establish England's naval supremacy over Spain and other European nations. In 1578, Sir Walter Raleigh sailed to America with explorer Sir Humphrey Gilbert, his half-brother. In 1584, Sir Walter Raleigh provided the backing that led to the establishment of the Virginia colony of Roanoke Island and the introduction of tobacco and potatoes in England. He also led an expedition to find El Dorado, the fabled Golden Land, exploring the Orinoco River in Guyana, now Venezuela. In 1603, Samuel de Champlain set sail from France to Quebec. He was the founder of Quebec City and known as the Father of Canada. He discovered Lake Champlain on the border between present-day northern New York and Vermont. In 1609, Henry Hudson was financed by the Muscovy Company to discover a passage by the North Pole to Japan and China. He discovered the Hudson River, the Hudson Strait, and Hudson Bay. He sailed further south to James Bay, still looking for a passage to the Pacific. The conditions became intolerable for the crew, which led to mutiny. Henry Hudson was cast adrift in a small boat together with his son John and 8 loyal crew members, and they were never heard of again. Visit our website, www.colonial-america.info, for comprehensive facts and information about the discovery of America.